Hello, and welcome to the Big Bad Marketing Podcast. I'm Janae.
And I'm Brooke, and we are two entrepreneurs jumping headfirst into building a business.
We're marketers and we're content creators at heart. And in this podcast, we help small business owners learn how to play big with their marketing efforts, even on a small business budget.
So if you're ready to make big bad moves in your professional life, this podcast is for you. Welcome to episode 24. Do you need a business plan to start a business? You have an idea, but you can't get started until you have a comprehensive business plan. Isn't that right, Janae?
Yeah, you need like a yellow pages, like a big ass textbook of what you're going to cover, how you're going to pay your people, all of that, right? Before you could do anything else.
Absolutely. You got to have the PowerPoint version of it. It's got to be PDF'd, printed out in a binder, dare I say it, maybe some folders in there. Who knows? But it's got to be super comprehensive because you can't start a business without a really well-crafted plan.
Just kidding.
Wah, wah, wah. Wrong.
Hot take, you do not need a super thorough business plan to start doing business. You can start with a little bit of notes, a little bit of forethought, and you can get going.
Yes, do not let the business plan stop you from starting the business. But in the same breath, we're also going to say, don't go in completely blind. Don't be ignorant to the potential pitfalls that lay ahead, and don't diminish the idea that it's going to be a lot.
Sure. And also don't get stuck on like it has to be a certain way. So the idea here is like you're saying, Brooke, don't go in blind, like have a bit of a plan, but don't let it hold you back if you don't have this super robust PowerPoint 60 signatures to pass and approve it, right? Like get some ideas together and move from there.
Right. Because after all, like, what is the point of a business plan, right? Like, one of the big reasons that you even do a business plan in the first place is to say, is this business viable? Does this make sense? I have this idea, but if I think through to its logical conclusion, is this a business or is this just a fun idea in my head?
It's a hobby, but hey, you never know because what about cucumber hat guy, right? Like it's okay if your idea is out there. The point is just to start getting some clarity on your vision. And it's got me thinking. So I do a lot of pottery when I'm not doing marketing. I do pottery and ceramics. And the teacher is constantly telling us and reminding us like every day, draw and plan out what you're going to make. Don't just sit at the pottery wheel and like let your blob of clay become whatever it wants to, right? Like that's a way to do something. But he's like, okay, look at these pieces I've made. Like this one has a folded rim and this one has a really small foot. And he gives, all these other technical details about the pottery. But the point is like, I can't get to these details if I'm still just trying to let it become whatever it's going to be. And I don't have a vision in mind for where it's going. Even if while I'm making it, it changes form and it's different than I expected, I will get closer to hitting the mark just by having something sketched out and planned. And we're going with the same thing here. Have your plan in place, be pretty clear. If you are clear on it, you'll know whether or not it makes sense and it's a viable source of income eventually, but running a business.
Yeah, and that's a great analogy, Janae. And I think it makes sense for us to say at this point that we are talking about you just have an idea. Like you haven't gotten anything off the ground because there are certain situations where you do actually need a formal business plan. So if you are pitching investors, if you're applying for a loan at a bank, if you need startup, for you need capital for your startup. You want to have a brick and mortar building. You're a tech company and you need funding. If you are planning to scale super rapidly and you want to bring on a lot of employees, like these are all instances where, yes, that formal plan is for you. You should maybe even work with a business consultant or a business attorney or someone to help you hash out all those things so that you have all the right bits and pieces as you go to those lenders and those banks to secure funding. But unless you are one of those niches that really needs it, we're going to make the argument that you can get away with something pretty loosey-goosey and still hit the mark.
Yeah, some scribbles in a notebook or on the back of an old napkin, right?
That feels like the entirety of big bad marketing.
Yeah, but if you are seeking funding, I think that's a really perfect example. whoever is going to fund you is going to want to see charts and projections and market research. And we're not poo pooing those things. In fact, we have done a lot of those things, but the degree of precision and effort that you need to take to those things to get your business off the ground if you're seeking funding are going to be different than what you're doing if you're like, hey, I could start a hustle of this and start selling it at the local farmers market or what have you, right? These are very different operations, and that's okay.
Yeah, definitely. And if you're planning to bootstrap your business like we are, and funding is not a concern for you, then the business plan that you do create is more so for you to hash out your own ideas. It's not for potential investors. It's not for a bank that is going to look for those really specific elements to say, I need to trust that you know what you're doing before I put my money in your hands.
Right. And to make this even more concrete, think about Shark Tank. If you've ever seen that show where people, like regular people, just like us, they're like, hey, I've got a business or a business idea. I need some funding. And what happens? They go into the room and the sharks are asking them all kinds of questions. They want to see the research. They provided packets and details. Right. So unless that's you, you're okay with a napkin and some scribbly notes. It's going to be fine.
Yeah. And as you grow and get bigger, and maybe you think about taking on outside investment, that's a great time to revisit the business plan, kind of go over what you got with a fine tooth comb, add in those specific details. But for now, you've got an idea, you've got maybe a couple of customers, you're still trying to flesh out what it is you're doing. We're going to say, we've got kind of a loose list of things that you might want to include that we'll go through here in a little bit. But before we hop into that, we do want to cover some misconceptions about business plans.
Okay, so here's a good one that I like, which is if I have a business plan, my business is going to be very successful. True, not true?
Ooh, common misconception. I think that there are a lot of people that think that if they have a really detailed business plan, there we go. That's success, right? But until you actually execute on that business plan, it is nothing more than the thoughts in your brain.
Yeah, ideas on paper doesn't make
Hmm.
it so.
Yeah. And another common misconception of business plans is that if I create one, I'll be able to get funding.
Ooh, okay. There, I can see where this comes from. And it's not totally false, but it's also not totally accurate, right? Just because you throw together some pieces of paper or the back of a napkin, scribble scrabble, right? Like that's not going to get you money. And even if you go ahead and do this really thorough analysis and you have all your paperwork and your T's crossed, right? That doesn't promise that a bank or any other lender is going to give you the money you need.
Yep. And Janae and I have a background in the financial services space. I've done a lot of writing about business loans, and you will need more than just a business plan to get a business loan, things like personal credit, business credit, and other factors. So if you are serious about getting funding, go talk to a professional that can help you down that realm.
Yes, don't bring your napkin scribbles there.
Yeah, they won't like that.
Okay, what about once you have your business plan in place, you are formally stuck with that plan and that's all you're ever going to do. True?
That sounds terrible. And I think we have seen in just the first year of business at Big Bad Marketing, we are constantly throwing new ideas at the wall, seeing what sticks. Like we are constantly pivoting and saying, hey, what if we did this instead of this? What if this target audience isn't exactly who we're going for? What if we instead pivoted to this offer for this person? And so we're constantly making changes. So as you build this business plan, hold it loosely, right?
Yes, it actually is reminding me when I'm not doing ceramics, I've moonlit as a stand-up comedy aspiring comedian, and I did a lot of improv. And the rule, I'm sure you've heard this if you know anything about comedy, is yes and, right? Like you're never saying no to someone's idea when you're doing an improv scene because you're both just inventing it. There's, or you and whoever you're with, right? There's no like formal script that you're sticking to. It's being invented on the fly. So if you say no, you're just closing down a ton of opportunities of the direction it can go in, right? And so I think we practice this on a regular basis just when we're chatting. We're like, yes, and let's try this. And then a new idea comes, or a customer asks us for something that gets our ideas sparked. And we're like, oh, we can open that channel too. Yes, yes, yes. And you keep allowing for the fluidity. I think that's a gold mine is being open to pivot and be flexible. If you're too rigid, right, things break. It's like bamboo folds in the wind and then it comes right back up, right? Versus like a big oak is going to snap.
Yes, I love these tree analogies. But your point is well taken that if you create this business plan and you say, I'm only going to do what's in the business plan, you're leaving a lot of opportunity on the table because these ideas can come from different places and from different conversations. And latching onto one of those might actually be more beneficial for your business down the road.
Sure. And it's to that end, it's like allowing for the mystery and the X factor and the surprise of sort of the universe, right? Like the things will be like you will channel and flow with things as they come if you are being fluid. But if you're too stuck or attached, right, that's where it starts to get stuck and you are not moving with the market or the industry.
Yeah, definitely. So flexibility above all else when it comes to the business plan. All right, Janae, before we hop into actually putting together a loose plan here, what are some questions that we might ask to get started? And maybe this is a good spot to take a pause and sort of talk about our business planning or lack thereof at Big Bad Marketing.
Oh yeah, Big Bad Marketing has been through so many iterations and I was thinking like we've had different names and different business ideas all together and like here we are. This is what's sticking to the wall, right? When we threw some spaghetti, like different things fell off, but this one's working and we're moving forward with it and we continue to be flexible and pivot. But I would say certainly where this started is through thought experiment and brainstorming and like pulled out the big old whiteboard and just drew a lot of different ideas on there and followed them all to their ends and then erase things and change it. And we've worked out things like our values, our mission, our business North Star. But some things that have been more adaptable are like what specific services are we offering? Who are our ideal customers? What are their pain points, right? And how are we differentiating ourselves in the industry across those different variables? What do you think?
Yeah, and I think we've had so many hours of conversations of, about everything that would be outlined in a business plan. And dare I say it at this point, I think my journal is probably the closest thing to a business plan because how many times, Janae, do I get on a call and I'm like, I was doing some journaling this morning and I think that we should yada, yada, yada. And that really is how my best ideas kind of come about and sort of creates that environment where we can then go back and forth and say, hey, what do you think about this? I mean, the other day you sent me a voice memo from after a run saying, hey, I think we should do XYZ thing. And so I think in our case, this sort of collaborative nature of what we're doing works really well for us. But I will say, for someone who is maybe selling a physical product, maybe there is a little bit more merit to getting more kind of structured with your business plan and your distribution channels and the ways that you're going to handle things. So, this sort of off the cuff creativity, I think, really works for us because of the audience that we serve and the market that we're in. But that's not going to be the case for everyone.
Sure. And just in that differentiation, I'm like, a product, typically you're going to need the inventory, right? And that imposes a level of needing some numbers and margins worked out. Shout out to our episode on business math. If you're not sure about your profit margins and the costs of the goods you're selling or services, right? Like those are things to work out. The earlier, the better, right? Like, especially at this point in time when you're still considering it. But for us, where we're offering services, not that the cost is more variable, but we have a little more flexibility because there's no upfront cost for us to secure the services, right? Like we're bringing the services. So we don't have to store and house and order a bunch of t-shirts to before we get started, right? So we have a little more fluidity in that.
Yeah.
Um, and to your point about collaboration, I just want to offer huge kudos to our listeners and to anyone out there who is a solopreneur, like you're doing this on your own. Brooke, it is so powerful, the impact and the effect of working together on this project and building this business. And if you have someone else who you can rely on, a business partner or just like a mentor or someone else who can lend an ear and give you some sound advice on occasion, I think that helps leaps and bounds get you ahead of just having this idea on a napkin in your head and trying to go at it alone. But if you are already doing that, go you. Keep
Yes.
going.
It is so hard. And it is so hard to be at an intersection and have two kind of paths that you can travel with your business, and trying to talk through it with yourself, but not having that sounding board can just it just creates this really challenging dynamic. So yeah, it's totally agree with you there. Like find a good friend, find a former coworker, find someone in your space that you met at a networking event, like just find someone that you can sort of say like, hey, here's what I'm thinking. Can you help me think through the things I might not be considering?
Oh, yes. How often just in daily life does that happen? I'm like, I'm going to the store to pick up this. And then I get reminded by everyone here of like, oh, but don't forget this. And we're going to need that. And oh, for this other recipe, don't forget to pick this up. So even just in like tiny things, it makes a difference to have another voice of support on your team.
Yeah, we heart collaboration.
Yeah. Okay, so you're ready to ask yourself a few questions before you make your plan-ish, your business-ish plan, right? Okay, so the first one is going to be what type of business do you want to build?
Yeah, and I think we've touched on this a couple times already. Product-based businesses are going to need a higher level of scrutiny because you're going to have to buy inventory and things than a service-based business. If you're just wanting to do a side hustle or a part-time gig and you just want to make a couple $100s each month, you can probably get by with minimal planning, like read some blog posts, get a book, like kind of try to spin it up on your own. But if you want to build the world's next huge, FANG company, like rivaling Google and Facebook, you probably are going to need capital, and that probably means you need that corporate-y kind of business plan. But the good news is, most people are landing somewhere in between. And when you have good planning, you can kind of start that as a side hustle and then over time shift it to becoming your main thing.
Which the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing.
Always.
Always. Okay. So you know what kind of business you want to build. The next big question is going to be, do you plan to hire or will you need employees on your team? So aside from partnering with someone who's going to get into all the nitty gritty with you, are there resources, skills, or services that are going to drive up the impact and capabilities, possibilities of whatever it is that you're selling or offering that you need that are not you? If so, your business plan is going to need to detail some of those numbers and details.
Yeah. And commonly in business plans, you'll see a section for leadership and the structure of the company and sort of how that's going to flesh out in time. And another aspect of that hiring employees is you're going to need to understand the cost of that. So if you can sort of say, okay, initially we're going to be 5 employees and these are going to be the types of roles, and here's the estimated salary that I'm going to have to pay, that helps you understand, okay, here's how many clients I'm going to need. Here's how much revenue I need to bring in. Here are my prospective profit margins and so on. Yep.
Sure. Oh,
Yep. And then I was going
yeah.
to say closely aligned with that is what are your estimated expenses to get things off the ground?
Big one. That's a really big consideration. And I think a caveat here, and what we're overwhelmingly in this episode and in a lot of what we do wanting to say is it's okay if you already have a lot of your business momentum going and you're already selling products, like you said, Brooke, and you've got a few customers and you really haven't thought about this stuff, but it's never too late. And now is a great time to start doing rough estimates of your business expenses, what it's going to cost to take it from where you're at now, which either is zero or somewhere along the track, and go up and to get to where you want to be. So think about, for example, like the cost of the goods that you're selling. How much do they cost? And how much should you expect to invest in them before you get started? What are your operation costs? What are the profit margins and revenue numbers that you want to hit and that are going to make sense for you?
Yeah. And I think even if you don't know for sure what these are, we would heavily encourage you to begin tracking your expenses day one when you start the business. So everything from your domain and website hosting, shout out to our episode on DIYing your own website. Any business lunches that you go to with prospective clients, any fees that you pay to your chamber of commerce, like making sure that you are at least tracking these so that you can go back after 6 months and say, okay, you know what? It's roughly costing me $2,000 a month to run this business with all of my software subscriptions and the things that I'm doing. So then that can kind of help you then plan for the future. So even if you don't have a full estimate in mind, tracking can help you get that over time.
Yeah, I'm thinking about a client that we've worked with where they did just surprise find themselves in business. It really wasn't like part of the plan and it just happened and they were not tracking these things. And what we've been able to do is help them go back and start even from now, even starting now, forget going back, like just start tracking your expenses as of today. And as you do that, you'll start remembering what other expenses you've had in the past, maybe how things have changed, but starting to get those numbers in place is really important for building the foundation of your business, even if you're doing it after the fact. That way, as you go forward, you're always going, as you say, Brooke, up and to the right.
Yep, definitely. All right. So, lastly, question number four, who is your business plan for? So, like we alluded to earlier, if you were looking for funding, you are probably going to be creating this business plan for a VC or a bank or some type of lender. Otherwise, it might be for you. It might be for you and a
Yay.
partner. And that's okay, but think about the formality and the structure of the document. And we are all about just like keep it as simple as possible. MVP, like create that MVP version of the business plan that's going to let you feel confident in getting started without completely overwhelming you and preventing you from getting going.
Oh, yeah. This is reminding me of one of our first episodes, how to create an elevator pitch. And this is such an important step, even now, as you're like, who is this for? Who is my business plan for? What is my service for? Right. Like the more clearly and concisely you can state what it is you're doing in a few words or a few sentences. I think we say 60 seconds or less is the target amount of time, right? Like the better understanding you're having of what you're doing, the better you can hit your target, just like I mentioned about the pottery, right? Like the more clear you are, the more likely you are to hit that goal.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's hop in. So, how do we create this sort of big bad business plan document? I'm using so many quote fingers, it's unreal right now.
Yeah. So this is, let's say, a big, bad, basic business plan template. This is our ideas of what you should capture if you're writing it on a napkin or what have you. And the idea is just to get down the bare minimum and think through everything you're going to need to get going, but don't get bogged down in the details. In corporate and here we talk a lot about like a quick and dirty version, right? You will always be able to refine, especially if you're using a pencil or using Google Docs, right? Like how many Google Docs we have going at any one time, Brooke, and we build out a bunch of docs that lead to other docs, and then we abandon those. And then later, 3 months later, we revisit it and we're like, yes, we already built this out. Let's go from here. Or we pull out a whole paragraph and edit and remove it completely. So don't get stuck. Don't get overwhelmed. Just start writing down a few of these things one at a time, and you'll be able to go from there. So, what are the first few things?
All right, so I think you already mentioned them, Janae, but the company mission, vision, and North Star. So, define what you believe and know where you want to go. So we'll share a template on sort of like cheat sheet things to help get you started for all of these and kind of your big bad basic business plan template, as you called it, Janae. But the North Star, the mission, and the vision are sort of this is who we are, this is what we believe, and this is why we feel compelled to do this thing. So, in our case, we wanted to start Big Bad Marketing with the vision of serving this audience of very small to small business owners who are just getting started with their idea, but don't yet have enough money to pay an agency several $1,000s a month to do their marketing for them. And that obviously has sort of morphed and evolved over time, but that is still the North Star. So everything that we do, we are thinking about price points that are accessible to this audience of small business owners. And we are trying to ensure that everything we do is with that top of mind.
Sure. So, it sounds like being really clear about what your values are and that how those translate into what you're doing through your business to serve that.
Yeah, definitely. Another piece that we talk about a lot is competitive intelligence. We did an entire episode on this and how to figure out who your competitors are and how you can differentiate yourself from them. So we won't spend a lot of time here. Go back to episode 13 and have a listen and then download our free competitive intelligence templates on the blog. But ultimately, you want to understand how you fit. And while some people see a, quote unquote saturated market, and then they use that as a fear driver to kind of prevent them from having to jump in our opinion, or in my opinion, it's sort of validation that that thing you want to do is something that people want and are buying. I would be more scared if I had a completely brand new idea and nobody is selling the thing that I'm selling. And that might be, on the one hand, a huge opportunity, but it also might be an indicator that there's not a market for it.
I think that's what we call risk, right? And
Totally.
sometimes it pays off, and sometimes you leave all your money at the casino.
Oh, I love casinos. And
Well,
I
here's to
do, in
hoping we
fact,
win
leave my
big.
money there.
Well, that's why we have this. This is our safety,
Yeah, there you
the
go.
sustainable business,
Perfect.
no risk involved. Okay, so after you've got those things, the next thing to do is going to be to create your value proposition. So this is your differentiator, and it helps clarify what makes you and your business unique in this market where hopefully you've already validated, yes, this is a real industry. People do really want this thing I'm selling. Um, how do I make myself now in this market unique and interesting and create engagement and urgency and interest from my customers to actually buy in?
Yep. And that ties nicely into recognizing your products and services, deciding what you're gonna sell. It seems super obvious, but sometimes offers
Mm,
get kind of jumbled and unclear, and you want to sell all of these things or make these crazy custom packages that are, this one, and then with this one you get all these other things, then you get all these other things, and then you have a list of like 75 things, and you're like, but what am I actually getting? Like, think about it from your ideal audience's standpoint. Like, make your products and services super clear.
it's giving the acronym KISS, keep it simple, stupid, of like, how basic and clear can you make this so that everyone can understand it? You can't possibly be confused about what we're offering here. And I feel conflicted and sort of sad when we talk to people and their offer, we talk to business owners and their offer is just like, I can feel their passion about what they do, but they're not able to articulate it well. And your products and services are the one thing that you want to articulate so clearly. You want them to speak for themselves. You don't want to have to do a whole lot of explaining of like, what is this? It should be obvious to the person who's interested in buying it, what they're getting, how it's going to serve them. So this is your chance to do that and really hone in on like, what am I selling? And if right now some little ticker is going off in your head of like, oh God, this is me, like it's not clear, that's okay. We have actually an episode on this of like how to make super awesome offers. Check that out. But the idea is like you group and compartmentalize and pick three max, let's say, offers or products of what you're selling and make them all very straightforward and simple to understand.
Yeah, and I think when you are in the early stages of starting a business, it is so easy to get so excited about the thing that you're doing. And we have 100% been there. And the it makes you want to branch off in a million different directions at once because you're like, well, I want to do a podcast and then I want to write a book and then I want to do a digital course and then I want to do yada yada and then I want to do this product and I want to do t-shirts and I want to do this and then I want to do personal training and then I want to do health coaching and then I want to do life coaching and yada yada yada. And it can just spiral. And then you get to a point where you're like, oh my gosh, well, if I have to promote my personal training and my health coaching and my life coaching, now I'm overwhelmed. So sometimes the entry point is just one thing. And know that once you get good at that one thing and you sell that one thing, you can always expand on it later. So I would highly encourage you to make it a little simpler, bring it back, keep the main thing, knowing that 6 months, a year, 2 years from now, you can expand.
Oh yeah, keep it simple.
Yep.
Real simple. That one thing you're doing can become a template and a prototype for all the other ones, but the more distractions you have on the route because you opened up so many other channels, the harder it is going to be to move forward. So couldn't agree
100%.
more. Okay, let's talk operations.
Yeah. So, how does your business function on the day to day? So, what steps are involved in creating your product or service and getting it to the end user? So, this is all the kind of messy behind the scenes stuff, the more administrative things about running a business, like, tracking your expenses and income, your invoicing systems, the softwares that you're using behind the scenes, and everything that it takes to actually get from this idea to delivery, understanding who your vendors are, how are you going to ship things, where are you going to sell, what is the rent for that place you're going to sell if it's a physical place. So operations is a huge bucket, and there are a lot of things in there. And we'll put some ideas in our template as well to help you out.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking about timelines too is such a big one on there because if you're selling a physical product or a service, really like establishing clear timelines and being clear of I need to order these on X date in order to have them arrive by this date so I can pack them up and have them ready for shipping on this date or ready for the market that I'm selling it at on this date. So there are so many pieces of the puzzle to put in place and it's okay. Don't get overwhelmed. It's just like think the things through so you don't get caught on the other side with, your hands in the air like, well, I didn't plan this out very well.
Yep, exactly. And then market and audience research. So a little bit of that is going to happen in your competitive intelligence, but you need to know who you're selling to. So that means deeply understanding your audience, their pain points, and how what you are offering is going to help them. In our case, this is ever evolving, and it is likely to be the same for you unless you are super clear initially. You might think your audience is one group, but it turns out it's another one, and that's perfectly okay.
Mm-hmm. And that's where it's important to adapt and be flexible and go with what's working. Do what
Yep.
your superpower is. Don't try and like finagle some other stuff and make it rinky dink.
Rinky dink.
That's one of my favorite. Is that really a word? I'm not sure what it is. Slangs.
I don't know. It could be a word. I haven't looked it up in the dictionary, but
How
you've
about
been
this?
saying it
We
a
change
lot
our name.
lately.
I have. We can change our name to Rinky Dink Marketing. Will that work?
That's definitely people are gonna like that.
Yeah, somebody. It's going to appeal to
It's
somebody.
got a certain je ne sais quoi.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so next thing to do is identify some marketing channels, right? Like as you're building your business, you don't need initially to focus on marketing. You need to focus on building the operations, understanding the math, everything that we just described. But it's a really good idea to be clear about where you plan to eventually market and also sell these products or services. We have an episode on which social channels to choose and how to strategically select social media channels that will make sense for your product, service, industry, your customers. So the idea is to think through who your people are and where they're going to be hanging out because you might be using email marketing to reach some people where your website could suffice for others. And then in other cases, a billboard and like bus station seats, right? Those might be your best bet or radio ads, right? There's going to be different channels. And your job here is to get a sense of which one is going to make sense for your unique audience and business.
Yeah, and that also allows you to think about money for those marketing channels, right? Like these things aren't going to happen on their own, and you might have to hire an intern to manage your social media. You might have to have a budget for billboards and figure out what billboards cost in the areas where you want to put them. So this can be a great sort of opportunity for you to think through how much am I going to set aside for marketing, right? Like, am I going to do 10 to 15% of my revenue? Which brings us to our last point that you're going to need to include in the business plan is your revenue streams,
How are
right?
you
So,
going to make money? Where is the money actually going to come in from? And I think this is this is our last point because this is also one of the main and most important points is you can do all of the planning you want and you can make that big textbook of your business plan, but if there's no actual way for you to get money coming in, all that is just like sheets in the wind, right? So the idea is figure out how the money comes in, where is the profit coming from, and bonus points if you have multiple streams of revenue, right? Like, so don't get ahead of yourself. Like we just said, try to keep it simple, stick to one for now. But the idea is that over time, you're going to have your marketing agency. You're also going to have a podcast, and then you're going to have some ebooks that make money, and you're going to have some courses, and you're going to do consulting, and all of this alongside your regular services. And all of those are going to create income that you can draft out as revenue to your business.
yeah, and revenue is the biggest thing. And so many people, I would include us in this bucket, start a business because they want to help people, right? And the reality is, we can only help people if we get paid enough to sustain our lives to enable us to do this business. So it is not greedy. It is not, all these capitalism haters, but capitalism runs the world. Sorry to say it. So businesses make money, period. If you don't have a plan to make money, you don't have a business.
Then you're more of a nonprofit situation.
Volunteer.
Yeah, or like doing it for goodwill. Yeah,
Yeah,
which
which
is
is
nice.
lovely.
Yeah, that's great.
Lovely.
Probably a better podcast suited directly towards that versus this.
Yes. All right. So, what else can you do if you're like, okay, I get it. I need a loose-ish business plan, but like, what else can I do to kind of get myself going without having to get super granular into all these things?
Okay. I'm a huge fan of YouTube and what do they say these days? YouTube University, and just like find giants in your field, listen to CEOs or other people who have done it before you and get a sense of how they did it, how they're making it work. None of this is about reinventing the wheel. It's about borrowing tactics and methods that are making sense and working and applying them to your unique business plan.
Yeah, we talk all the time about like you are unique and lovely, but your
Lovely.
business is probably not unique. Like somebody has done these things before you, so leverage their learnings. And a lot of people love to put out there free content to help other people do it too, because that feels really good. So take advantage of that. Look at for the books and the podcasts and use your library and all the free articles online. Like there is so much out there available for you, free information that you can use. So take advantage of that.
Mhm. Okay, let's jump into a few quick hot takes about needing a business plan.
All right. Unless you're asking for big bucks, no one except you is looking at the plan. So you are ultimately the only one who knows whether you have a plan or not. The people that are buying your product, they don't care if you have a business plan. So just start selling things. Like they don't need to see that to confirm you're a business. The fact that you exist online or you're in front of them, handing them a thing and taking their money, that's the clear indicator that you're in business. So don't let it stop you.
Yeah, I'm thinking of like a street vendor who, like, what? They don't have a business plan, but they're making a ton of money just standing there selling flowers or whatever it is. It's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay. Which leads me to another hot take here, which is if you don't have a business plan, you cannot be in business.
Yeah.
False.
Wrong.
Wrong. And
Yep. A lot of people find themselves like, surprise, I found my way into this business because I was doing a thing and someone said, "Can I pay you for that?" Like I I have a friend, and if you're listening, you'll know who you are, who is writing a book and wanted some like help and support with the title and the subtitle for her book. And so I just did a little bit of workshopping with it and a little bit of back and forth. And afterwards, she was like, "Have you thought about doing this? Like, can I pay you for that?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, here's another business opportunity, workshopping book titles. Just found my way into that one." I'm not going to do that for a living, but totally could.
okay, I love that because more than once in my life, I have wanted to be the person who names ice cream flavors and nail polish colors, which seems
Oh,
like right in the same vein.
yeah, could totally do that.
Would be really interesting workshopping
Yeah.
those. So if you're listening and you're hiring someone to do that, pick me.
Yeah. OPI,
Um,
Ben and Jerry's.
but I don't have a business plan yet for those things. And if someone asked me to do them, I would just do them and figure out the business plan later, which is what
Yes.
we're telling you to do.
And you should too. All right. Thanks for
Thanks for
listening.
listening.